One of the biggest mistakes inexperienced editors make when trying to improve the pacing of their films is that they focus entirely on individual scenes. But the pacing problem usually isn't inside the scene at all. It's in between the scenes. Because pacing isn't just something we create within individual scenes. It's something we need to design across a whole entire film. And if we get this framework wrong, the audience really starts to drift. Not because the story is bad or the characters are weak, but because the emotional rhythm of the film never changes shape.
Then I'm fucked.
So in this episode, I'm going to show you a very simple pacing framework that's been used in high-end filmmaking for decades. It works on feature documentaries, drama, branded content, charity films, and pretty much anything else you'll ever edit. And once you understand it, and most importantly, practice it, your films will have that high-end look and feel of a professional edit. Okay, let's set the stage with an incredibly important fact about filmmaking. Modern audiences love variation. They love novelty, and the idea of not knowing and not predicting these changes in everything from narrative to structure to pacing is extremely addictive for the viewer. When we watch, our favorite Netflix series or cinema documentary or even reality TV show, we are seeing the convergence of every single raw element into variation. What's being built through editorial architecture is kind of similar to an emotional roller coaster experience for the audience. So we need to start thinking about designing a pacing framework that creates this type of variation. And the way we do that is with one simple theory. And inside the edit, we call it the car journey. Okay, let's do a little visualization for a minute. Think of the pacing framework in your film like the last time you drove a long journey in your car. So when you pulled out of your street or driveway, you'll have been in first gear. When you got to driving along your local high street or main street, you were probably in third gear. And once you got onto the motorway, you were definitely in fifth or sixth gear. Now, the best editing you see is when the different pacing stages mirror the action and emotion the director needs at that, specific point in the roller coaster. Think about the different types of emotions throughout any film and how many of them psychologically cluster around different types of speed. Now, this is by no means an exhaustive list, and there's always some caveats in editing, but consider this list. Gear 1 could be reflective or intimate. Gear 2 could be observational. Gear 3 could be progression. Gear 4 could be tension. And Gear 5 could be chaos, urgency, or intensity. So you can see what we're doing here. We're mapping different emotional and psychological states that we want the audience to feel onto different editing speeds. So here's the question. If this framework is so simple, why do so many films still feel flat? Let's find out. Now, the mistake that new or inexperienced editors make is that they do not even consider this car journey, let alone deliberately design it. You read any book on filmmaking, whatever the discipline, and you're sure to hear about story arcs at some point. it's kind of fundamental to our art form, how the story is set up, how it progresses, and then how it's resolved. But in high-end editing, there are multiple individual arcs all going on at the same time that are reinforcing the main story arc. The dialogue has an arc. The B-roll has a pictorial arc. The music even has an arc. But you never really hear about the pacing arc. If we want our films to have that high-end look and feel, we have to consciously start designing a pacing arc. It's not just stringing a bunch of beautiful shots together with some cinematic music. That kind of stuff is all over YouTube, and its emotional impact on the viewer is negligible. Beauty gets boring very quickly without structure and, most importantly, narrative context. So how do we go about designing this pacing arc? Are there hard and fast rules that we should follow? Well, this is where it gets truly fascinating. Now, on this channel, much has been discussed on designing and structuring, individual cinematic scenes. But now I want you to zoom out to the 40,000 feet view and look at your film as a whole. We need to start thinking about our scenes like mini individual narratives within a longer interconnected chain of events. That's really important, and it requires a different mindset to individual scene construction. So let's take a very simple first look at this concept. Slow scene, followed by a fast scene, followed by a medium pace scene, followed by a slow scene, followed by a fast scene, etc., etc. We're driving on our street, then we're on the motorway, and then we're on our local main street, then we're back on the motorway, and then we're back on our own street, over and over again. And what is it at the very center of this framework? Yep, variation. If you're enjoying this deep dive into high-end editing, dear friend, then go and check out our Inside the Edit app. It's got a ton of free content that'll genuinely change the way you think about editing. It's available on the App Store and Google Play. Now, look what happens if we don't do this. Watch these two scenes carefully, especially noting how you feel at the transition point into scene 2.
There can be a very, very small window of opportunity to get the shot. So what I've learned over the years is you always have to be ready, because when it does happen, it could be literally 20 seconds of good light. Patience is just part of the game. Getting up, making the coffee, getting out the door, walking and walking and walking, getting to the location, getting the gear ready, waiting for the sun, and then it comes up. Oh, baby. When it's calm, serene light, there might be a scene there that only works for a few minutes. As the light's bouncing off that building and it's, lighting up your foreground. And then it goes away in 20 seconds. And at 20 seconds, I take 3 pictures. That's what all that effort was for. That was for those 3 frames I just took right there. That 20 seconds, that 1 minute. Can be quite magical. The more brief it is, the better the shot, if you get it. If I was to say there's anything specific I'm looking for in a shot, it's good light. If I'm in a place where good light is falling on something interesting, I'll start taking pictures.
Beautiful shots, emotional score, reflective pacing. But can you feel how flat it starts to get by the time you're about 30 seconds or so into the second scene? The mind is going, oh, I've seen all this before, or this is more of the same. Our audience doesn't want to stay in the same emotional gear for too long. And of course, it works at the opposite end of the pacing scale. Take a look at these two scenes and again, pay attention to how you feel about 20 or 30 seconds into the second scene.
There can be a very, very small window of opportunity to get the shot. So what I've learned over the years is you always have to be ready, because when it does happen, it could be literally 20 seconds of good light. Getting up, making the coffee, getting out the door, walking and walking and walking, you know, getting to the location, getting the gear ready, waiting for the sun.
Yeah. Look, they're starting to go pink.
And then it comes up.
Oh, baby.
Get really excited, really excited.
This is excellent.
The 20-second window, the clouds opening and the light coming through and being really dramatic. And then it goes away in 20 seconds. In that 20 seconds, I take 3 pictures. That's what all that effort was for. That was for those 3 frames I just took right there. That 20 seconds, that 1 minute. And I know that's it. This is a very intense city. It's full of cars. There's a lot of noise and pressure. It's full of people, it's full of activity. There's always something going on. It's just a fun city. It's just fun. It's fun to live in, fun to work in, fun to play in.
Way too intense, right? The human mind can only sustain that level of intensity for so long before it gets overwhelmed and therefore disinterested. So what should we be doing? Well, take a look at this.
There can be a very, very small window of opportunity to get the shot. So what I've learned over the years is you always have to be ready, because when it does happen, it could be literally 20 seconds of good light. Patience is just part of the game. Getting up, making the coffee, getting out the door, walking and walking and walking, you know, getting to the location, getting the gear ready, waiting for the sun, and then it comes up.
Oh, baby.
when it's calm, serene light, there might be a scene there that only works for a few minutes. You know, as the light's bouncing off that building and it's, you know, lighting up your foreground. And then it goes away in 20 seconds. In that 20 seconds, I take 3 pictures. That's what all that effort was for. That was for those 3 frames I just took right there. That 20 seconds, that 1 minute. Can be quite magical. The more brief it is, the better the shot, if you get it. This is a very intense city. It's full of cars. There's a lot of noise and pressure. It's full of people, it's full of activity. There's always something going on. It's just a fun city. It's just fun. It's fun to live in, fun to work in, fun to play in.
Can you feel the difference? Can you see and feel the gears going from first or second up to fifth or sixth, and how much more emotionally appealing that is? So let's standardize this with 2 editing theories that I really want you to memorize. Number 1, never repeat the same pattern. Always vary it. Don't do slow, medium, fast over and over again. It will become predictable and the addictive nature of the structure will fall to pieces as soon as the audience, guesses what's coming. Remember, the human brain is a prediction-making machine. Its job is to take all of this data on a second-by-second basis and construct meaning and sense of it all. And secondly, never cut too fast scenes or too slow scenes back to back. Now, this is the big one. As we've seen, if we've got some beautiful reflective scene that, is slower and more emotional or thought-provoking, we don't want to put 2 of those types of scenes back to back. Variation disappears and all we've got left is beauty. And, as we've talked about quite a few times on this channel, beauty gets boring pretty quickly without meaning, context, and variation. That is where a very large percentage of YouTube films and inexperienced filmmakers completely fall over. So what I want for you is that high-end feel across your film, no matter where you are on the editing ladder. It doesn't matter if you're cutting branded videos for your company or you work in a government department making in-house training videos, or it's, maybe it's your first feature-length indie doc. It doesn't matter, whatever. What matters is that you start to apply and practice these pacing variation techniques consistently. Start zooming out to 40,000 feet from your timeline and practice thinking of your scenes like mini individual narratives within a longer interconnected chain of events. Visualize that car journey as you start to design the pacing architecture. And if you start practicing right now, I promise you this, it will completely change the way you cut and structure your scenes across an entire film forever. I really hope you enjoyed this episode, dear friend. My name's Paddy Bird, and this is Inside the Edit.